Let's get started. So, welcome everybody. It's wonderful to have all of you here. As I said, I'm Tomas Insua. I'm based here in Boston together with Christina. We're in the Global Secretariat of GCCM. So, I'll be facilitating this call. Um, if we could look at the agenda, um, we'll be we'll start with an opening prayer, which is a tradition in GCCM. We always start our calls and meetings with an opening prayer. Then we'll do a quick overview of 2015 highlights. Um, and as you might know, we just celebrated our first year 2 weeks ago. There's a lot to celebrate. A lot happened in 2015, so we'll quickly review what happened last year, and then we'll do an overview of 2016 plans. Our steering committee has been working on putting together lots of exciting projects and ideas, and we would love to hear your feedback and comments and new suggestions. And then we'll go through opportunities to start engaging with GCCM. There are several things that you could start doing today. So hopefully you can take action together with us and together with the rest of the Catholic family this coming year. So let's start with the opening prayer then. I will do the prayer for our earth by Pope Francis in the encyclical. So let's put ourselves in the presence of God in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. All powerful God, you're present in the whole universe and in the smallest of your creatures. You embrace with your tenderness all that exists. Pour out upon us the power of your love, that you may protect life and beauty. Fill us with peace, that we may live as brothers and sisters, harming no one. O God of the poor, help us to rescue the abandoned and forgotten of this earth, so precious in your eyes. Bring healing to our lives, that we may protect the world and not prey on it, that we may sow beauty, not pollution and destruction. Touch the hearts of those who look only for gain at the expense of the poor and the earth. Teach us to discover the worth of each thing, to be filled with awe and contemplation, to recognize that we're profoundly united with every creature as we journey towards your infinite light. We thank you for being with us each day. Encourage us, we pray, in our struggle for justice, love, and peace. Amen. Okay, so that said, let's this is such a beautiful prayer, a great way to kick off our meeting. So let's go to our 2015 highlights. As I mentioned, we on January 14th we celebrated our first year anniversary. Um, le- to give you some context as well, we launched that day, the day before Pope Francis visited the Philippines last year, and Cardinal Tagle handed in. The way we started GCCM was with a foundational statement that is available in our website. The statement was delivered to Pope Francis by Cardinal Tagle while he was in the Philippines. So that was how we got started. And this year, a lot happened. Of course, almost 1 million. We helped almost 1 million Catholics to take action for climate justice. So let's review quickly what are those main highlights. So the first one is the petition, of course. Most of you participated actively. It was really amazing that we collected 900,000 petition signatures, which was a massive amount of signatures. I think it was a pretty unprecedented mobilization given the short time frame and the very little resources we had. It was basically our whole network, all of you and your organizations pushing this petition forward in local communities. Here we see pictures from the Philippines, from Kenya, from Bangladesh, from the US. It was really beautiful how in all continents, Catholics, the grassroots of the church, this petition forward. So, and the most important thing is that we not only collected all the signatures, but that in Paris we delivered the signatures. So in Paris we met. Let's go to the we met the top political authorities of the COP21. We were there in Paris for the whole weeks, and well, there were Paris was so interesting. So many things happened, but well, in terms of our faith engagement, we hosted this interfaith events. Uh, as you might have seen, we partnered with other faith groups such as ACT Alliance, which brings together the Protestant family, then Our Voices / Green Faith, and Religions for Peace. All these four coalitions had their own petition campaign, so we brought them all together and we made this joint call to action from the faith community. In our case, we had two events. One with President Hollande, the French president, who was hosting the COP21. There in the picture, you can see Bishop Steiner, who's the Secretary General from the Brazilian Bishops' Conference. He was representing GCCM, and together with Yev Sanyo from the Philippines, who did the walk from the Vatican to Rome, to Paris. Then we had a second event with Christiana Figueres, and that's the next slide, where she's the executive secretary of the UN Climate Change Secretariat, and we had a similar event, all the faith leaders delivering all this massive amount of signatures. It was a really beautiful, both were really beautiful events and making our moral case for climate action. And in the next slide, we'll see that it was Cardinal Humes who represented GCCM in this event. So it was really beautiful to see how the GCCM facilitated this engagement of both the grassroots of the church, bringing this massive amount of signatures, together with the hierarchy of the church. It was really nice to have the support of Cardinal Humes or Cardinal Humes delivering the signatures on our behalf. The next highlight, well, regarding the signatures, was, and this is a beautiful story about how Yev Sanyo, he led the People's Pilgrimage from the Vatican to Paris, and he carried symbolically our petition signatures. So that was a really beautiful thing to see. The engagement it generated, and he delivered, the signatures personally to President Hollande. You can see them in the picture. What he's holding in his hands are real petition sheets, signed petition sheets from the Philippines. As you might know, the Philippines has been the leader of our mobilization. The Filipino church has really mobilized at a massive scale. Has been really beautiful how the Philippines is inspiring the rest. So we had our call for Asia Pacific yesterday. I must clarify that this call is for the Western Hemisphere, and we'll have the calls for Spanish partners and Portuguese next week. So, well, let's move on to the next slide. The next highlight is the march. Of course, this was a big, big moment. The day before the Paris Climate Summit, we had this massive mobilization of Catholics around the world. Overall, it was a big coalition putting together the march. Over 800,000 people. It was the largest climate mobilization in history. It was a really massive march, and this was despite the fact that the Paris March was cancelled. Which was supposed to be the biggest one, given the terrorist attacks. So, despite that, it was the largest climate mobilization ever. And what was really nice to see is that Catholics around the globe were joining this march in big numbers. We had 40,000 of us joining the march, and under the same banner, and doing it in a coordinated fashion across the globe. That was a really beautiful thing to see. The next highlights are just in terms of the endorsement we got from the hierarchy. Well, in first place, the Pope. We met him last year in May, and it was really nice to count with his endorsement. And then the next slide, the bishops and cardinals from many different continents who also joined the campaign, endorsed it, pushed the petition. seeing this engagement from the hierarchy was really nice as well, and was a beautiful thing to see. So that was a super quick overview of our first year, our first year working together, serving the Catholic family, and trying to enable and facilitate this global mobilization. Yeah, I did it really quickly. I want to spend more time doing talking about what's coming next because that's the most interesting things. So, in terms of the 2016 plan, together with our steering committee, we've had several calls brainstorming on what we should be doing. And we also had a meeting in Paris with all the Catholic organizations that were there in Paris for the COP. And we've come together with, well, in the first place, this kind of framework to guide and to guide our engagement on the climate issue. So as we all know, the climate crisis is a massive crisis that has this many different dimensions in which we should be working. In 2015, we focused almost exclusively on the advocacy side, on mobilizing, given the COP21 urgency. We'll, of course, continue to do that, but this year we'll also spend more time on the other two dimensions. And this is a spectrum that goes from internal to external transformation. In terms of the internal one, I mean, and as Christians, we all know, and as Pope Francis has framed it many times, this is a spiritual crisis, this is a moral crisis. So if we want to really tackle the climate crisis, we have to start with our own ecological conversion. So that will be an important track of work. The second dimension is the lifestyles one. So leading by example, if we're asking governments to implement bold policies to go carbon neutral by 2050 or earlier, we should be leading by example. We should be showing that this is possible. It's so common to hear politicians and skeptics overall saying that it's too hard, that it's too costly, that it's basically impossible to do this in the short time frame that we have, and we have to show that this is possible. So we'll share several nice ideas in terms of lifestyles, especially at a parish or diocese level, and then advocacy, of course. So let's go into the spiritual dimension. So here, well, the key concept, of course, is the one of ecological conversion, as St. John Paul II framed it in 1990. Let's move on. Here, the key thing that we'll see in the next slide is, of course, Laudato Si. Laudato Si will be the most important priority this year. We have to promote Laudato Si far and wide. As we all know, and this is not a trivial thing, the encyclical needs active promotion. So we expect here, and we're inviting you, and I mean, this whole presentation is an invitation for you to take action at a local level in your city or in your country. So here we're inviting you to think creatively of how to continue promoting Laudato Si. Of course, Laudato Si had generated a lot of attention, especially in the media, but now we really need to engage Catholics in the pews to read Laudato Si, or at least attend a talk or a study group about Laudato Si. There's a lot of work to do in this regard, both online. So we'll be likely producing some videos, or at least one for the anniversary of Laudato Si, a video about the encyclical, and we'll also be testing out some offline actions to promote it. For example, in Brazil, Igor, who's our campaigner in Brazil, will be leading a roadshow, a Laudato Si roadshow in the main cities of Brazil, and having an exhibition going around the main cities about Laudato Si. So here, and we're inviting you to share with us anything you do to promote Laudato Si. GCCM is meant to be a platform for people, for Catholics to share ideas and to see what others are doing. So we're planning to, in the first place, to share what different Catholic organizations across the globe are doing to promote Laudato Si, and hopefully that will spark ideas. But also, we invite you to share whatever you're doing so we can share in our wider global network. So the key moments here will be, there are three key moments. One is the Lenten fast for climate justice. And here there's an overlap. There are two things that are starting this week and the next. In the first place, we have the Pope's prayer intention for February. As you know, the Pope has this monthly prayer intentions, and the one for February is on care for creation. So, and I'm not sure if you're aware, but the Pope will starting last month, will start producing a monthly video himself, Pope Francis, talking about his prayer intention. The video about his February care for creation prayer intention will be released tomorrow, likely, or this weekend. So stay tuned for that. You should receive an email from us very soon on the video. We hope you can help us promote it far and wide. So we'll have this whole theme of praying for care of creation this month, and then we'll have the Lenten fast. The Lenten fast is, we're repeating what we did last year. This starts next Wednesday. Next Wednesday is Ash Wednesday already, and will be. This was the first action GCCM launched last year when it was founded. It's basically an opportunity to. We're calling for Catholics to. We're joining the Fast for the Climate movement. I'm not sure if you're aware of Fast for the Climate. It's an interfaith uh, coalition, let's call it, or gathering of people who are fasting for climate justice. They've been doing this for a while. This was started by Yev Sanyo when he started his famous fasts in COP19, and we'll be joining that movement, and we'll be fasting throughout the Lent, and we'll be inviting Catholics. Well, of course, and fasting is such a natural thing for the Lent, but we'll give it this climate justice component, and we'll invite Catholics to from different countries, at least from 40 countries, to fast in a specific day of the Lent, and ideally to host events or talks or study groups about Laudato Si, to take the opportunity of the Lent to get Laudato Si in the agenda of our local churches or local communities. The second key moment will be, yes, Scott, you're right. Sean McDonough will be in the US, so that will be great. And here also, I should mention that Laudato Si, we know that there are lots of great resources that many of you are putting together. Different religious congregations, different organizations are putting together study guides or videos or all kind of resources. We have a resources hub in our website that's led by Marie Banner, who's here in the call as well. We have that resources page. We aim for that page to be a hub, a useful hub for you to find resources. We'll be sending a follow-up email after this call with the many different things we're talking about. But the resources should, this is something we'll of course want to continue prioritizing this year. So please send along to Marie, or you can upload them in our website. We have a form to upload the resource yourself. Please send our way anything you have. So then the other two key moments to promote Laudato Si will be the anniversary of Laudato Si, that's happening on June 18th, and the season of creation. The season of creation will be this big moment. We already did it last year, and we continue to make it bigger this year. Will be this time from September 1st to October 4th, the Day of Prayer for Creation that Pope Francis recently inaugurated, and the day of the Feast of St. Francis. This will be this special moment to celebrate creation and to take action for creation. And Laudato Si should be the main thing also to push there and to engage our local communities. So I'll move on a bit quicker, just to make sure we leave time for some discussion and sharing. The second dimension is the lifestyles one. This is a nice quote by Pope Francis about the need to start with lifestyle changes. And again, it's about leading by example. If we're asking governments to take these bold decisions, we should be showing that it's possible and that we can do it way quicker than the timeframes that governments have. So here, the next slide, we'll have probably two main things that we're launching. We're launching a parishes program. And all everything I'm sharing, let me share in the chat box. I'm basically going through the document. I just shared the link. That's the document. So these slides are a stylized version of that document. So in terms of parishes, we'll be launching very soon a toolkit, a guide for parishes to go carbon neutral, to implement um, energy efficiency policies, to go renewable, etc. There are a lot of we had a volunteer we have a volunteer Gail based in San Francisco who's leading this effort together with Kiara, Shannon from Hong Kong, who have put together. They have a lot of experience working in sustainability issues, and they put together a really nice resource, basically a how-to guide for parishes to and for dioceses to start implementing these climate policies. So that will be a big focus of work. Here, there are something I'll share later on is that we'll have working groups. Something new this year, we want to start working groups for different issues that we're inviting you to join, depending on your interest and depending on your expertise. You're all very welcome to join the working groups. We'll have a working group in parishes. So there are a few things that we'll be doing, and the idea is through these working groups to think together and to think together how to work on each of these issues. So in terms of parishes, besides the toolkit and the guide, we'll also have a global map in our website, putting together the different initiatives. I mean, the different cases of parishes across the globe. Our toolkit will be showcasing 10 cases, 10 parishes, 10 case studies, but we want to have a live database, and hopefully with as many case studies as possible, so parishes can see examples from neighboring parishes or from countries or from parishes from their countries and see how to do it. We want to be a platform for collaboration and ideas and cross pollination to happen. We'll also very likely launch an awards scheme series here, looking at the model of CAFOD. It's good. We have Sarah from CAFOD in the UK here in the call. We'll be thinking of doing awards at a global level, given an award to those parishes that are taking the most ambitious action to reduce greenhouse gases emissions. So that will hopefully be coming out of the parishes working group. Then we will have, there are a few more ideas, but I'll go quickly just so we leave some time for questions and sharing afterwards. The second big thing in terms of lifestyles is the Divest and Reinvest program that we expect to launch relatively soon. So here we'll be doing basically bringing together. We want to share the cases of Catholic institutions that have divested. I'm not sure if any of your organizations has already divested from fossil fuels and reinvested in clean renewable energy. We will be this again. We'll start a working group here. So if you're interested, please let us know. At the end of the call, we'll send the details. But the idea is to start at least starting with bringing together those who are already divested. We know of several cases in the US and They will sending us some cases from the Philippines of Catholic organizations that already divested. Um, that will so we'll be sharing their cases, and we'll be sharing some resources of how can Catholic organizations divest from fossil fuels. We're talking with 350, who are the ones who spearhead this divestment movement and divestment campaign, and with Green Faith, who have done a lot of work with faith communities with divestment. So expect more on this. Um, and then lastly, in the last dimension in which we'll be working is the one of mobilization and advocacy. What we did uh, pretty well last year, and we expect to do at a bigger scale this year as well. And this is important to keep in mind. It's even more important to mobilize this year now that Paris is not happening. I mean, it was easy to mobilize in 2015. Let's put it quote unquote. It was easy. Now the challenge is to mobilize this year, and it's even more important because we really need countries. As we all know, the level of ambition of governments is really far from what we need to to achieve the 1.5 degrees target. So that's why we really need to mobilize at a bigger scale in 2016. So if you thought 2015 was big, that was not enough. We'll have, and here, of course, it will be a local thing. It will be on a country by country basis. There will be some global moments that we're coordinating with the wider climate movement and the Climate Action Network, and with 350. Starting in May, there will be a break-free week in May. So you should hear more from us from some global mobilization initiatives. But the most important thing is for these mobilizations to happen at a local scale, at a local level. Here we have this beautiful quote from Pope Francis, who called this speech in Bolivia. He made this really bold call to action, asking us to mobilize. So the idea is to keep on responding to that call. In terms of the what this means in practice, in the next slide we'll see. We're inviting you here to deliver the petition signatures in your country, in your city. We invite you to follow the model of what we did in Paris. So there are two things here, and we're inviting you to do this at three levels. First, at a national level, we invite you to engage your local government, be it the prime minister, the president, leaders from Congress, whatever is the most relevant target, minister of environment, minister of energy, all of the above, in your countries to make this call to action. And here the rationale is, let's leverage the incredible effort that we put in 2015 to collect all the signatures, and we'll continue collecting petition signatures. So here it's good to keep in mind that other organizations that have climate petitions, such as Avaz or Greenpeace, they've been pushing their petitions for many years. I mean, Greenpeace has pushed their petition for 7 years, I believe. Avaz has pushed their petition for 2 years already. So we expect our petition to be, and the petition is this wonderful engagement tool. So we plan to continue building on top of this tool. First, because the framing of our petition is pretty broad, both broad in terms of the target. It targets to all local, national, and international leaders, and it's pretty broad as well in terms of the framing. It targets governments from all countries, both developing and developed, and it also allows us to target political candidates in the cases where there are elections. And so, yeah, the idea is, and it's a great way for doing two things. One, to engage the grassroots. I mean, if we expect people to start engaging, I mean, if we expect Catholics to start engaging on the climate issue, spending 5 seconds of your time signing a petition is the very basic step. I mean, if somebody's not able to spend 5 seconds signing a petition, it will be really hard to engage them in more time consuming things and activities. So we see this as a first step. And also, it's a way of building the email list. So we're inviting you to also have access to the petition signatures you collect and the emails of people you collect. So this is a great way to build the email list and building a way of reaching out to your local networks. And the second nice thing about the petition is that it's a great way to engage politicians and political leaders. As we see in the picture, this case of President Hollande in France, the delivery, the act of delivering the petitions is a great excuse to have a meeting with government representatives. So here we're inviting you to do this in your countries, following the Paris model. As I said, there are two things here that would be nice if you start thinking of how you could do it in your country. We're aiming for at least to do this in 30 countries this year, so hopefully you can help us spearhead this in your countries. One is doing it in an interfaith fashion, as we did in Paris. So if you are already in contact with the local interfaith climate networks, that's great. Please talk with them and try to do this with them at a local level. And second, ideally try to engage the local bishops. So if you do this at a national level, trying to engage the local bishops, the National Bishops Conference. That's a great way to engage the bishops' conference. And if you're doing it at a city level, the idea with the city mayor, the idea is to engage the local bishop from that city. And here, a very nice thing is that given we're doing it in coalition with many other faith groups, this is a very nice way to engage the bishops for having the Catholic voice present there. So, and another clarification here, we're expecting to deliver all the signatures we delivered at a global level. So we Catholics, we collected 900,000 signatures, and to get the other faith groups collected an additional 900,000 signatures. So in total, we have 1.8 million signatures that hopefully will continue to grow this year. But the idea is to deliver all those signatures together, not only the ones from people from your countries, because climate change being a global crisis, somebody in the Philippines or in Peru signing the petition is petitioning governments from other countries as well. So it's really important that we make the voices heard from those in other countries, especially those in the global south, who are the ones who are suffering the most and will suffer the most from climate change. So that's in terms of the petition. Let's move on to the next slide. So we give some time for sharing. Sorry, I'm going really quickly. There's a lot to share, but I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. So in terms of what you can do today or tomorrow, start doing now is, well, first, promoting the Lenten fast in your country. You should receive an email from us very soon that we've assigned one day for each country for the top 40 countries in terms of people who signed our petition. And we're open, of course, to get more countries, but we'll start with those 40 countries. So we expect, it would be nice if you invite your networks to fast that day, and ideally to host a Laudato Si event, hopefully that day or any other day throughout the Lent, but using the Lent to promote Laudato Si. Also, it's important as well, I should have said this before, when talking about Laudato Si, making the connection with the Year of Mercy, that will be an important thing. We have a nice prayer connecting Laudato Si and the Year of Mercy, and we expect more resources to come up. And if you have any resources connecting the Year of Mercy together with Laudato Si, please send them our way. We would love to share them widely with our network. Then it would be good if you start thinking of this petition delivery event. If you have the local connections with the local interfaith climate groups, that's great. And please let us know. We'll likely put together a website together with other faith groups showing how we're delivering the signatures in the different countries. There will be also an interface statement that is led by Green Faith. The idea is to deliver, hopefully, we'll see how it goes, but trying to deliver the petition signatures and the statement together, making the moral case from the faith community for climate action, and increasing the level of ambition of the INDCs. That's the main thing. Calling for governments to first to ratify the Paris Agreement, and second to increase the level of ambition. We know that the ambition is very low. We need them to step up. And then the last invitation is to join a working group. So in the next slide, we have several working groups that have recently started or are about to start. We invite you to join either these, or if you have any idea of any other working group that we should be putting together. These working groups will be led by member organizations such as your organization. So hopefully, if you have any special interest in any of these working groups, please let us know. There's more information in that link at the bottom of the slide. And we're also, anyways, we'll be sending a follow-up email with all the links, all the information we're sharing in this call. So we'll have a working group on divestment and reinvestment. We'll have a working group on education that is already starting to happen, led by Marie. We'll have a working group on parishes. That will be about the toolkit for parishes and thinking of new ways of engaging parishes. Then we'll have we already have a working group working on youth and big focus on World Youth Day. As you know, World Youth Day is this gigantic opportunity of engaging Catholic youth groups. World Youth Day is happening this year in Poland in July. So we have a working group that has been working for the past month or so, led by Alan Otaro from Kenya, from Sainesa, and by Lou Arsenio from the Philippines. So we expect to have a big presence there in the World Youth Day and to host a workshop with different young Catholic leaders. The idea is we have to think together. And this is a task for the working group of thinking of how to create a network for youth groups working on the climate issue, to share experiences and to have some cross-pollination happen there, youth group level. So if you know of any youth groups that are going to Poland, or any young Catholic leaders that will be going to Poland that would be a good fit for this, please let us know. We'll host a workshop, a day-long workshop in Poland with some organizing grassroots trainings, and we still have to define exactly what's the program for the working group, but there are several ideas that the working group is putting together. So that will be a big priority. So that's a very important working group for this year. Then we'll have a working group on businesses, trying to replicate the model that Catholic Earthcare Australia is leading in Australia. Laudato Si in the boardroom. So this is something to be started. And then there's another working group on agriculture. Regenerative agriculture is a big thing in terms of mitigating climate change. There's a lot of potential for regenerative agriculture to happen to deal with the climate crisis from an agricultural perspective. There's a lot of CO2 that could be captured through good agricultural practices. So that will be another thing. So I'll stop there. I talked too much. That said, I would love to open the floor for feedback, questions, any ideas, suggestions, anything you're doing at a local level that you would like to share, any kind of responses to this. So you could talk. Christina just enabled the microphones, so you should be able to talk. You in the top left of your screen, you should see a microphone icon. If you click it, it will go green, and there you should be able to talk. So please go ahead. Anyone who wants to take the And again, here it's ideas, any particular project that you have any comment on, anything that you think we should be doing that we're missing. This is a work in progress. This plan that we're sharing is a work in progress. So we would love to have your inputs here. I'm seeing that Destiny said you asked a question. I didn't get it. So maybe if you can repeat it. Or you could ask the question in the chat box as well, if for any reason the microphone didn't work. Destiny, if you want to repeat your question, I didn't get it either. Maybe writing it in the chat box if the microphone doesn't work. So Kathleen has a question. Will you make available the petitions, or how do you see us delivering petitions since most were done online and we don't have the hard copies? So here, truth is that it's so what we did in Paris, Kathleen, is we basically created a nice box. If you want to go to the previous slide, Christina, on President Hollande, yeah, that one. So we created a box that I would improve that box that President Hollande is holding in his hands. It's a symbolic box having the 1.8 million signatures inside the box. Truth is, what we can do is
Hello.
deliver. Hi there. Let me reply to Kathleen really quickly. So we are inviting you to create a box. We'll ideally we'll be putting together some resources for you to print out, and we aim to have the same to have a unified uh, look and feel throughout the petition delivery events in different countries. So this is something that we have to figure out at a global level with the other faith groups. The name will likely be the same that we had in Paris, which is Faith in Climate Justice. And we should have some nice visual resources of 1.8 million signatures, Faith in Climate Justice, that you could print out and use and create at a local level. So somebody was speaking. If you want to make your comment or question, please go ahead. And also regarding your question, Kathleen, uh, what is done in some places is also handing in together with that a pen drive with all the list of signatures. So that's an option as well. Truth is that nobody asks for the hard copies or the details, but we can definitely provide that. The names of people signing. But it's tricky because it's four coalitions coming together, and it's not simple to bring them all together. But that's an option definitely. So let's chat more. Any other comments, feedback, ideas, questions? So Laura is asking, here several parishes want to do things. I'm interested in the working group in Paris. Can you tell me who's coordinating it? We'll be sending the information about the working groups in in a follow-up email now. So but the short answer is a lady called Gail. She's based in San Francisco in the US, and together with Kiara Shannon, who's based in Hong Kong. But I will send you those details for you to reach out to them. And hopefully we'll be convening a opening kickoff calls for each working group. So Kevin is asking, I might have missed this point, but from an advocacy point, is there an Apex global moment? We had COP21 last year, but I'm not sure if there's anything like anniversary of Laudato Si or the World Youth Day. Yeah, regarding the global moments, so Kevin, there are at least three big global moments that we'll have this year that it would be good if you keep in mind. One is the April 22nd. April 22nd, the governments of the world will gather in New York. So in 2.5 months, um, will gather in New York to ratify the Paris Agreement. So that will be a big global moment. And hopefully, there we arrange something with the UN climate chief, Christiana Figueres, trying to, we have to see exactly what, but we want to do something. And it will be kicking off the delivery of petition signatures in the different countries. So that will happen. Of course, the other one is Laudato Si, the anniversary, June 18th. That will be the next big global moment for us. And the last one will be the season of creation. That should be another big moment to either deliver the signatures or to do all of the above. So then Shayla is asking, how are we going to distribute the parish toolkit? Are you going to engage the bishops in this process? That's a great question that we need to answer on a local basis, so on a country by country basis, Shayla. So thanks for asking. So yeah, we'll have this toolkit. We'll be, of course, distributing it online, and we'll try to promote it as far and wide as possible. And here we'll also be trying to talk. And here it would be great if you help us in each of your countries to talk with the local bishops conference on how to make use of this parish guide to for us for them to help us distribute them. Hopefully, I mean, trying to get some funding at a local level of to print several copies, and or maybe we have to figure out with the parish working group, we have to figure out if we want to have a way of ordering online and to have a copy shipped. So that's the distribution is something to still be figured out. Thanks for asking, Sheila. And Sarah is sharing the link of what the petition delivery they did in the UK. So that's a good model to look at. Thanks, Sarah, for sharing. Also, something to mention is that we would like, and this again is up to the parish working group to do, but we would like to localize the parish toolkit with maybe more relevant local resources. So, for example, I think we've been talking about in Africa, for example, and in India, and there's a big opportunity to push renewable energy sources in parishes, especially given the huge focus of governments in those countries on leapfrogging dirty energy. So hopefully we'll have a localized version for Africa of the. I mean, the toolkit should work at a global level. It should work for any country. But in the cases of Africa and India, and if you want to do it in any of your countries, having a localized version tailored to your local context, because the idea is also to share resources of who are the providers. I mean, if a parish wants to install solar panels, who to call, who to reach out to, those kind of resources that are local. In some countries, we might have a local version of the guide. So if you want to do it in your country, have a localized version, it would be great to have your help there as well. Then, what other questions? Brother Yasil, oh yeah, the Laudato Si Manifesto that he put together in the Philippines. That would be nice if you share with us the online document so we share with everybody. I think that's a nice verse for inviting uh, Catholics to make a pledge um, to put Laudato Si in practice. That's a really beautiful manifesto, by the way. I highly recommend it. Thanks for bringing that up. And John is asking about French resources. That's something that we're planning to have as well. I mean, we, our website, I must clarify that our website is currently in 7 languages. Some of the versions are a bit outdated. We have a website in French as well, and we hope, well, first we hope to update the French website. Leila, who is our coordinator for Africa and the French speaking world, she'll be the one leading all the efforts on the French side, and hopefully we'll have a French version of the toolkit as well. So yes, the idea is to have all of our different resources in different languages. So hopefully, John, you should be able to get that as well in French. So we have 4 minutes left because we want to keep it to 1 hour. Any other comments? Anybody? Any other questions, ideas, criticisms? Anything we missed? Again, this is a work in progress. So we're definitely looking forward to your inputs. In the meanwhile, until anybody asks any other question or comment, I must say that these calls will happen every 3 months at a global level. So, as I mentioned, we're hosting a series of calls. So, yesterday we had a call for Asia Pacific. Then we'll have a call for Spanish speakers organizations that's happening next week, led by Fabian, based in Ecuador, who's based in the Office of Caritas Ecuador, and who is the GCCM campaigner for the Spanish-speaking world. And we'll hopefully do it in Portuguese as well. So, and this global calls will happen every 3 months, and then we have to. And here we would love to hear your inputs on having national or regional calls, depending on what makes sense in each country. But having regional calls or national calls every month, probably, or every 2 months, depends on what do you think is the best way to do it. So hopefully we'll have these calls in the meantime between the global calls. So we'll have this quarterly global calls and the other ones in the meantime. So hopefully you can join those as well. So we have 2 more minutes, unless anybody has any other question or suggestion. Looks like we're good to go. And to start with, well, I must say again that we're very excited to have you on board. Thank you for being part of GCCM. It has been a really exciting roller coaster in 2015. So much happened in such a short time frame, and we expect to continue being pretty active this year. We want to keep the urgency. It's really important in such a challenging issue like climate change, like this climate crisis. We really need to keep the urgency alive. So, and it's really important that both we keep the urgency alive inside the church, that we mobilize and we make this a high priority list issue in the churches in the church agenda in every country and in every diocese and outside the church as well. So mobilizing together with the wider faith community and with the wider climate movement, it's really important that this is a very intense year as well. And that's, I mean, the stakes are so high in this climate crisis that we really need to keep this urgency alive. So we're looking forward to working with you. We will send you the follow-up email with all the details of everything we shared. We hope you can we can work very closely this year. in your countries that we can support you in any way. Please let us know if there's any way we can support you and amplify what you're doing. If it always helps to add the global perspective. So please let us know. And and yes, hopefully we can do a lot. There's so much work to do for climate justice. So hopefully we can have a great year together. And thank you so much for joining us again. God bless you all. Oh, I'm seeing that there are a few questions that went unaddressed. I didn't see the questions. I'm really sorry for that. I will make sure that we'll address them in our follow-up email. Okay, now yes. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining. Have a nice day or nice evening.